Hello, and welcome to the 2017 Point in Time training. This is the disembodied voice of Joe Baker, Data Coordinator at the Metro Denver Homeless Initiative, coming to you through the ether. Before we begin, I would recommend, if you have not done so already, downloading the Point in Time survey as well as the HUD definitions sheet on disabilities and mental illness that we have on our website. The Point in Time is a collaborative effort that takes place on one night a year. This year it is January 30th, 2017, in collaboration with our community partners, many agencies and service providers who help to get a sense of what homelessness looks like on this one day. It is required as part of our funding by the Department of Housing and Urban Development and is carried out by every continuum of care in the country. Some things that the Point in Time is not. It is not an eligibility tool to determine who can or cannot receive assistance from HUD's homeless assistance programs. It's also not an evaluation tool looking to look at the success of ending homelessness in our community. And it is also not the end-all be-all number of homelessness in our community. It is a part of the larger puzzle, and there are other reports which help complement the Point in Time. We have examples of these posted on mdhi.org. Here we have the Housing and Urban Development definitions on who should be count survey for the Point in Time. As you can see, Housing and Urban Development breaks it into two categories: sheltered and unsheltered. So why do we undertake this huge effort? Well, there's an educational component, as based on the data we get, we can disseminate to citizens and elected officials about what homelessness looked like on this one night in January. We can also look at gaps in how services are provided to the population of people experiencing homelessness. Having a good point in time count also keeps the Metro Denver Homeless Initiative competitive for housing and urban development grant funding. Currently, we receive over $24 million from housing and urban development. It also allows us to look at populations on a more granular level. Populations such as veterans experiencing homelessness, those experiencing chronic homelessness, and youth. Housing and Urban Development has tagged 2017 as the baseline year for looking at unaccompanied youth homelessness, with the goal of ending youth homelessness by 2020. Now, youth are generally undercounted, and in order to get the full picture, we are increasing our efforts and partnering with our youth-serving agencies as well as with street outreach to try to find those youth who are not accessing services. Based on the data we collect, we can use this for federal funding as well as funding at the local level. It's also a way to help connect youth to services in a way that will help them avoid homelessness or get them out of homelessness. Now we're going to look a little bit at the actual administration of the Point in Time survey. Keep in mind, as you approach someone to do this survey, this is not a survey about homelessness. It's a conversation about housing instability with those who are experiencing it. So above all, it's important to approach people in a respectful manner. Remember, you're engaging them in an interview on housing instability. Respondent participation in the survey is completely voluntary. They do not have to answer every question. And if they do not want to take the survey, services cannot be refused to them. After you're finished administering the survey, we just ask that you make sure everything is filled out as completely as possible. Remember, this is an interview style survey. Please do not hand out a stack of surveys and pens and then collect them after everyone is done. Those experiencing homelessness typically have a lot lot of experience filling out forms, and we are really trying to differentiate this experience from what they face on a day-to-day basis. If someone refuses to take the survey or do not seem to be able to complete the survey, please do not push them to continue to do so. It's okay to skip answers, and on the back of the survey you will see a portion where we have given space for observing someone or writing down information for those that refuse to take the survey. At this point, we'd like you to take a look at the survey, just read through the questions. Remember, it's two-sided, so on front and back. Notice on the left side of the survey that we have starred the crucial questions. These are the data points which we report to Housing and Urban Development, as well as in our community point in time report, which is released in late May, early June. Additionally, for the baseline youth count, we have a supplemental youth survey, which should be completed by unaccompanied youth under the age of 25 after the main point in time survey has been finished. You can see from the youth survey that the housing challenges faced by those under 25 are slightly different than we ask in the point in time survey. Still, if you encounter an unaccompanied youth under the age of 25, we ask that they fill out both surveys. There are some questions which on first blush do seem a little invasive. We do ask for the first 3 letters of the first name, the first 3 letters of the last name, social security number and date of birth or a combination thereof. This information is kept confidential. It is only used for deduplication to make sure we are not double counting those experiencing homelessness on the night of the point in time. We also like to look at the migration of people experiencing homelessness across counties or coming from outside our metro region. This information also helps us to collect demographic information on subpopulations, which is a requirement of our funder. Going back to the point in time survey briefly, you will see at the bottom of the first page by question 8, all the way on the right hand side, a thick black bordered box, which has questions related to disability, veteran status, and other things related to subpopulations. Housing and Urban Development has specific definitions over what constitutes a disability, which is found on our website. In essence, it's considered a disability if it is of long-lasting duration and interferes with a respondent's ability to have stable housing. As mentioned earlier, we would definitely like to have the information captured in an interview. However, MDHI recognizes that this is not always possible or even prudent. That is why we have allowed for recording data through the observation process or marking it down that the respondent refused to answer questions, and then filling in as much information as you can. MDHI does have security protocols in place for collected surveys. Data is sent to Housing and Urban Development and released to the community in an aggregate fashion. No identifying information is used in any reporting. We also ask that volunteers sign confidentiality agreements, also available on our website. Surveys that are turned into MDHI are kept in a locked location, accessed only by the data coordinator. After the release of the point in time report, surveys are shredded. Something we have found to be helpful before the night of the point in time is giving the survey to someone you don't know, just to familiarize yourself with the questions and the flow of the survey. If you have already signed up for a volunteer shift, you will receive an email from MDHI with the location, point of contact, time frame for surveying, as well as any other information that might be pertinent to your survey shift. It's always recommended that you dress in layers, as the Colorado weather has varied from extremely cold to almost balmy on the night of the point in time. If you have not received any information from MDHI regarding your volunteership that you've signed up for, please contact us. We'll have the contact information listed at the end of this presentation. Listed here are your three main points of contact at MDHI for all things point in time. We welcome all questions, concerns, or suggestions of how we can do better. This ends our presentation on the 2017 point in time count. Everyone at MDHI and the wider Metro Denver community would like to extend their thanks to you for volunteering for this important effort.